What if Hester Prynne had been born in the 1980s? How differently would she have been treated? By modern standards, her crime does not seem all that bad. We were not around in the time of Hester Prynne, but this book does give it little insight. I had a lot of trouble relating to the book, and that made me a bit sad. I feel a lot of kids can't enjoy or learn from books like this because we are constantly bombarded with sex, drugs, and other vices. One weapon in the arsenal of adultery is social media, and more generally, technology. With so many TV shows and movies displaying the acceptance of infidelity, most kids after the age of 8 have a basic understanding of adult relationships. They've even based movies off the Scarlet Letter, such as Easy A.
There's a higher power that will judge you for your indecency.
Tom Cruise.
The internet, as fascinating as it is, has also caused a few problems. You can catch up with old flames and meet new people through sites like Facebook, Twitter, and Skype. You can also have online affairs through sites like Ashley Madison and Cougars.com. In the time of the Scarlet Letter, these resources and social implements didn't exist. Although adultery was evident back then, it was extremely uncommon. Unlike today, there was only one real means of infidelity, which was direct physical interactions with another partner. On top of that, people knew you were unfaithful. No way of concealing pregnancy or a baby, and although there were abortions, it almost always ended in the death of the carrier. Perhaps her punishment wasn't such a bad thing. It provided consequences for your wrongdoing. Another amazing variation today from the time of the book is the consequences. Although adultery is still looked down upon, law isn't really enforced. All that happens anymore is a divorce, a lawsuit, or a catfight on Jerry Springer. The only real consequence, and this is only occasional, is the strewing of diseases like herpes. Vastly different in the time of the Scarlet Letter. You were treated as a demon, and used as an example of the devil's realism. In the words of Hawthorne himself,
Hester underwent an agony from every footstep of those that thronged to see her, as if her heart had been flung into the street for them all to spurn and trample on.
had she not been so pretty and safeguarded, the other women in the crowd probably would have executed her. One of the greatest differences between then and today is the hallowed bond of marriage. Up until the 17th century, marital vows were considered truly everlasting, and usually stayed married until you died. Divorce was only granted to adulterers and adulteresses whose spouse had been executed. The capital laws of New Haven Colony in 1655 stated that if any married person proved an adulterer or adulteress shall be flight and otherwise so withdraw or keep out of the jurisdiction that the course of justice cannot be proceeded to do execution. A separation of divorce shall be granted, and the innocent party shall in such case have liberty to marry again. You usually didn't marry based on love either, but simply for procreation. Now imagine how those people would look upon us today. According to the CDC, 53% of marriages end in divorce, and the Huffington Post says 15% of those divorces are caused by infidelity. This means today, 7.4% of marriages end because of adultery, whereas in Hester's time, divorce legislation was basically non-existent, and the only termination of marriage was caused by death. So, what if Hester Prynne had been born in the 1980s? In today's day and age, her girlfriends would have defended her, and her husband might have even stayed with her. If her character was still meant to entertain the audience, she probably would have ended up on Jerry Springer. Either way, the basic plot of the Scarlet Letter, considered by many to be an all-time classic, cannot be enjoyed by your average modern audience. It's sad that people today are so without shame and humility that our society can come to this state. Perhaps then the appeal of this book is that some people wish they lived in the time of Hester Prynne, where things were more or less innocent and taken care of.